16th. Welcome back. I always start off with announcing what week we're in and what module and stuff, so might as well keep up the trend. So this is class number 7, week number 7. Next week's our reading week. And what better way to send you off on a reading week by giving you a book cover project? So it just landed perfectly with you guys doing a book cover project for the reading week in Photoshop. So I'm going to go over those details in a moment after I explain the module. And yeah, let's start from there. All right. So I'm going to share my screen now and we'll look at the details. All righty. Just let me know if you can see my screen. If you don't say anything, obviously, I think we're okay. So that's good. Alrighty. The YouTube channel. I always check it from time to time to make sure it's up to date. I think we should be good with the lessons now. Sometimes they juggle through the listing here, so just make sure it should be at the top. That's the latest lesson. So today we have like class 7 on top of class number 6. If you don't see it, just scroll down. I do notice it sometimes end up at the bottom of the list. Just the way the nomenclature is when you name files and stuff, sometimes that happens. All right. So let's look over the content now. I did release this last night, the module 7, the book cover. Last week we ended up with the photo retouching lesson. That's one of my favorites because we get to do lots of cool Photoshop editing techniques and all the retouching tools that we used as well alongside with that. We also did some color rendering as well with the black and white illustrations and renderings and all kinds of interesting things. That's a whole industry by itself. If you know, like when you know that skill set, people get paid just by, retouching photos and stuff. Now with AI, it's a little, I guess, different, and who knows what's going to happen. It's a lot easier now, I guess, with methods. Renderings and also another one. Okay, that's also very important. It's a big Photoshop segment as well. So we'll try to get the best of everything in this course, like I'm trying to show you as much as I can. As you notice, we're doing a lot of print work in the first half of the semester. After the break week, when we come back, that's why we're going to do the book cover for your reading week. That's the module 7. Today, we'll start off designing an actual book cover. I'll take you through the process of kind of breaking it up into sections and stuff and doing the layout and the planning and some of the technical methods, a little bit of review from what we learned in the past, applying it to the book cover and some typographical features as well. I have some image link sources for you to reference with. So you have the pixels.com, Pixabay, Unsplash. These are very common, popular websites you can use to get some free images and good quality images at that. Just make sure you give the respective authors or artists their credits by maybe liking their, Instagram page or a small donation. I'm not saying for you to spend money, but depending on the what they ask for you to do, it's always nice, a good gesture. I'll give them a credit as well. These are the book cover exercise files. So if you want to start with that, just click on this link and download those files. And that's going to ask you to download it on your computer, of course. You just simply do that. I already downloaded my folder, so it's already on my desktop. Okay. So that's pretty much the lesson for today. This whole book cover, it's a lot of explaining and work to put it together. So I'm going to do a thorough job explaining that, and hopefully that'll get you started with the next project in this class, which is the book cover project, and that's going to be due obviously later on when you come back from the break. You'll have a few more weeks after that. And then the other one is the website we'll get into afterwards. Okay. So as we get into the latter half of the semester, we're going to start using Photoshop more like for web design. Okay. We're going to do one more clipping mask exercise, a little more advanced use of the object tools in Photoshop, like the vector capabilities. They want to get into some of the web sources and the website prototyping and mock-ups and stuff. And then we'll get some motion design done as well. So we'll have a really, really fun, end of the semester coming up with a lot of cool interesting features in the program. As we wrap up the print session, no better way than to give you the book cover project. The book cover project is a main project. So if you are looking for the actual project, it should be under, I think I have to release it actually because it's going to be announced today. So if you go under main projects, okay, I will have it visible for you. So the movie poster project was well executed in your half. Nicely done, everybody. The book cover project is the next big project you're going to be working on. And here's the actual brief for this. There's no PDF, just like an actual write-up for it. So you're going to be designing a book cover of your choice. You might have a favorite book that you like, and perhaps even a popular book on the shelves that you just heard about or saw yourself. The criteria is very flexible as long as you choose the book and stick with the theme and details, such as dimensions, etc. Photoshop will be the main application for this project, as many graphic designers have made the same choice as well. As you incorporate all of the program features such as layers, effects, typography, and design, try not to go bigger than 8.5 by 11. There's a reason why I'm giving you this size, because that'll fit into a standard printer. A lot of students like to have a portfolio at the end of the semester. And you don't want to print anything bigger than that. You can go tabloid as well, which is 11 by 17. It's going to cost you like, we're talking dollars and cents. If you go anything bigger than that, then you're spending a lot more money for just to print a portfolio. So keeping it with the size limitation, but it's also a good mock-up, as I will show you how the book cover will end up looking like. All right, and that would be larger than most paperback hardcover standards anyways. Good luck and have fun. And there's your parameters and requirements. I always give you a minimum of 7 images or layers to use. You're going to use probably more than that, of course. Organization of layer groups and sections. So I want to see you to implement that a little more. I was a little more forgiving on the poster. A lot of you didn't use groups and folders, and you had a lot of layers. But that's okay because I didn't emphasize it, and I don't think I even made it a part of the requirement. But I was looking for you to kind of do it yourself. This time I'm going to bring it up and make sure you all follow that trend. I want to see layer groups in your next project. So it's a little more strict and a little more guideline oriented. Minimum of 2-layer blends, minimum of 2-layer masks. So I want to see layer masks and layer blends. Again, most of you did demonstrate this in the poster, but I want to see it implemented now in the book cover. Type treatment. Okay, this is using typography. You've done some typography lessons already with Roberto, and you can apply the same methods here in Photoshop. And I will show you some of the ways you can utilize the type tool in Photoshop as well. At least 2 different font styles. Font styles are different than fonts. The rule for fonts are you shouldn't go more than 2 different fonts per like design. I've seen maybe maximum 3. Stick with 1 or 2 if you can. But the styles you can vary. So you can go like bold, italic, semi-bold, heavy. There's different ways of, so certain fonts have different styles you can implement. And that's what I'm looking for this book cover here. Vector design elements. So this is when you incorporate some of the methods you learned in Illustrator into Photoshop. And yes, that means utilizing the pen tool. The pen tool is a very instrumentive tool where you can draw almost any shape or reproduce any type of artwork and create a vector object out of it. You can utilize that in a very creative, abstract type of implementation in the book cover, as far as background designs, maybe something more specific as you're gonna, exploit the tool in different ways. So I'm gonna go over some of the details of the vector tool. Perhaps even when we come back from the break, we'll have a whole, I think there's an exercise of it as well. One or more filter. I always encourage filters just because it's a big part of Photoshop and I want to make sure I kind of emphasize it so it's not forgotten. So if you can see a use for it, that's fine. If you don't, that's also okay. It's not something I go through this and say, hey, did you do all this? It's something for you to consider as you're building your book cover. But I do want to see, obviously, you follow this list as well. The dimensions, as I mentioned earlier, is a 8.5 by 11 inches, which is a standard US letter size. But the class example, which I'm going to demonstrate today, will show you how 8.5 by 11 is a perfect size for a 5 by 7 uh, paperback cover. Okay, so we're gonna fold that in half basically and recreate that mock-up to fit inside 8.5 by 11. Okay. Um, so maybe you know what? I should edit this because it's a little misleading with the overall dimensions. This is more like the perspective of the prints. I'm just gonna quickly do that right now because most people get it, but I want to make sure it's nice and clear. So the height's going to be 7, 11 basically. The width is 11, the height is 7. If you fold it in half and you have the spine, it'll be 5 by 7. So the actual paperback cover is going to be 5 by 7. I made the resolution 200 dpi, which is because it's smaller, it's not a big document. And 200 and 300 are very similar in appearance. Okay. The color mode, you're going to do both RGB and CMYK. You can work with RGB because right now there's a lot of digital books as well. You sell it on Amazon, Kindle, that kind of stuff. And CMYK would be the mode you convert when you print. Okay. So we'll kind of leave it up to you with what size you decide to output it as, but I want you to consider both, one for print, one for screen resolution. And there's your actual breakdown, which is usually the criteria, the technical, and the creativity. Sometimes you might get a presentation breakdown, but you guys are not doing presentations for this book cover here. All right, so this is due. Um, yeah, this date is wrong. I gotta fix this due date, by the way. It's from last semester, so it's obviously not due March 31st. I'm gonna fix that. It's probably gonna be due in November sometime. Okay, so it's November, I think halfway through. I gotta check my critical path. Okay, so I'm gonna change this due date, so don't worry about that. And that's pretty much it. I'll show you some other students' book cover project examples as I always do, and then we're going to um, take it from there. Okay. If you're ever looking for projects again for any class, just go to your calendar or go to the course specifically, right? And then go to the calendar from there. Click on like month view, and you can see what's due. Okay. So you can see those are previous projects, and these are the new projects. The composite assignment, by the way, it's due after the reading week. So when you come back, this will be your week off right here, and you're going to be back on the 28th. So it's going to be due like on the 31st. So you do have like, a good 2 weeks left for that one. I don't know if you're presenting that one. This used to be a presentation piece. Well, it's funny because it used to be in my class. You would present this in my class, and I would have all the other teachers join me, and you would do a live presentation. Um, Now, this class is online right now, even before we did like a hybrid online and in person. But the classes kept getting bigger, the class sizes. So I don't think we're doing a presentation for this one. We might do it on the next one. Let me ask you if you guys are presenting this project. Does any teacher ask you to, is there a requirement for you to present this in any of the classes? Yes or no? Put your hands up if there's a yes. I just want to make sure we're on the same page here. Are you presenting this? Yes. Raise your hand if you're aware of any presentations that is happening for the composite assignment. So Sheila didn't ask you to present anything in her class, or neither did Roberto, right?
Sheila, no. I think that we're stalling because it's ambiguous. We might be presenting in Roberto's class, but I'm not sure. But
To be honest, I don't remember anything like anyone mentioning something about it.
you don't
Right.
remember, or you do? Yeah.
So when
No,
we
I
had
don't
us,
remember anyone
go ahead.
saying something about it. Like I think this is the only class where you have told us that we would do a presentation. I think no one else is or has say it
Hmm.
yet.
Hmm.
So it used to be a presentation, and I'm not trying to confuse you guys or get you all, riled up about this.
Oh,
The thing is, the class sizes were smaller before. We would have like 20 people or something like that, just under 20, and we could do the presentations in one class. if the size of the classroom exceeds like 30 people and stuff, it's hard to fit 30 presentations in one lesson. And that means we would have to waste 2 weeks of presentations. And let's be honest, presentations has nothing to do with graphic design. I think it's great. I love presentations. I think you should be able to present your work, but there'll be plenty of time for you to do that at the end of the semester. Well, there's another one, I think, and maybe that might be fitted well. If not, you have a portfolio presentation next semester with your portfolio. So don't worry about the presentations. I just thought maybe the teachers might have brought it up. We used to do it though before. I remember Sheila used to do presentations too. Roberto was big on it as well. So don't worry if it hasn't been mentioned. Forget I even brought it up myself, actually. I just sometimes we're this semester I haven't communicated as strongly with the other teachers. Maybe here and there if I see them in the staff lounge or the hallway, but I this is new and I never asked them about their presentation. So I will bring it up. Maybe like again, if they mention it to you, that's fine. If not, you're okay. All right. So let's not worry about it for now. It's all good. Let me just go back here. How many of you want to present? Let me just get another question going here. How many of you would like to present your composite assignment? Let's see, hands up. Wow, is that all of you? There we go. There's a few people. See, there we go. Right, good. Presentations are fun, so there's a few of you that like to present. Um, and just to not to throw the pressure on you. Some people don't like to present, I'll be honest with you. I never liked to used to present my projects because I was learning English at the same time. This was like way back in the day when I was probably much like in school and stuff. But yeah, presentations were scary, speaking in front of people and stuff, right? But the sooner you do it, the better it is for you because it's going to build your confidence in terms of explaining your work. When you go for a job interview, you're going to be maybe facing multiple people, not just one direct one-on-one. It's good to build that skill and that confidence. And what better way than to do it while you're in school? That's why we support it. And like I said, if there's room for the presentations, you're going to be doing a group presentation with me next semester anyways. So either way, you'll end up doing a presentation. Okay, so don't worry. Alrighty. But it's good to see some of you are looking forward to that. It's nice. All right. So, right. Let me just quickly do something here. I'm gonna just check my critical path. Give me one moment. I'm gonna have to just stop my screen share. Just change one thing, and then we're gonna get the dates sorted out as well. So it's week 11 then. Seven, week 8, week 9. November 14th. Yeah. All right. Let me just do that right now. I'm gonna share my screen back again. So I just made sure my due date matched up with my critical path here. So this book cover is due on November the 14th. Okay, so that's already inserted there. It just sometimes it doesn't update all my dates. When I transfer my course from last semester to this semester, some of the dates I have to always update them. As far as that, we update all our stuff anyways. But the due dates, we have to definitely change it. So Thursday, November 14th, pretty much a month from now, roughly, give or take. If I need to give you a few days extension, I'll be doing that as well. So till middle of November. Okay, so that's when this book cover project is due. All right. Okay, so let's go ahead and go back to our module here. So module number 7, book cover, as I mentioned earlier, did you get a chance to download the exercise files? If you have, that's great. If you didn't, that's okay too. You can do it after as you watch this video. Maybe you're just watching me do it for the first time, and that's okay. Some people prefer to learn differently. So let's go ahead and jump into that book cover exercise. Um, I guess we picked, there's a lot of, let's look at some of the book covers right now, though. When's the last time you guys read a book? Um,
Hmm. Well, I would say I'm currently
All the
reading a
time.
book. It's slow, but
nice. Yeah, that's right.
doing it.
Yeah, for me, it's hard sometimes. I start a book and then I like to read a lot of, some of these business books, financial stuff, design, I read almost anything, but it's hard to finish a book these days because we get so much distractions. But if you can get one, that'll be great. A lot of these book covers, as you can see, the covers are very exceptionally made. And there's a lot of Photoshop work involved in a lot of these book covers. This is why it makes it a perfect project for Photoshop and also a portfolio piece. I know some of them are quite simple, right? Like if you have something like this, for example, there's not much Photoshop work in there. Try to challenge yourself by picking a more elaborate, photographic type of Photoshop design, just like the movie poster, right? And there's a simple and there's more advanced with visuals. So you're looking for something like this, okay? Just to bring up that Photoshop feel to it. If this was an Illustrator class, I'd be more like giving you more like an illustrative solution or a challenge. For this one, you're out to do Photoshop, so I do encourage you to do a lot of the Photoshop editing stuff. Okay, there's a lot of examples for book covers that have either or. Find something that you really like. Pick maybe your favorite book cover. Like I said, I want to make this optional. A lot of old books have been rewritten, again, republished. So if you like, let's say, I don't know, 1984, or you like some other book that you like in the past, and you can recreate that book and basically do a new cover for it. So have some fun, and as long as you demonstrate all the Photoshop stuff you're learning, that's what I want to see, basically, right? And yeah, so I'll leave it up to you. Okay, you guys can do some. I'll show you some student samples as well. Okay, because you're not just making the cover, you're creating the whole design with the spine and the back of the book cover as well. So we're gonna do the whole bit. All right. So let's go ahead and dive into this exercise just to give you some book covers here. Why don't I show you some samples since I'm already doing the show and tell portion. Let's see if I have some student samples here. Let's see what semester I downloaded. Right. Okay. So here's some student book covers that I have. Now they also did a mock-up as well. I mean, you don't have to do a mock-up. It's nice, but this is how your portfolio might look like once you complete your book cover. Okay. And this is, I guess, a book cover by one of the students here, A Well-Behaved Indian Woman, it's called. I've never read the book personally, but that's the book that the student chose. And it's see how it has the cover here, the spine in the middle, and you have the back of the book as well with the barcode, the publisher, all the whole to make it look as authentic as possible. We're looking for that. I'll open up one that has layers in it and stuff so you can see how it was done. Here's another one here, The Witcher, Blood of Elves. So there's sometimes even video games become books or books become video games, vice versa. You can pick either or. And just to show you this Photoshop file, what it looks like here. Have you guys gotten the new Photoshop 2025? It just got released, I think was it last week or this week? I can't remember. I noticed the update automatically took place. I was happy to see the new Photoshop, and I had to delete my old one. I think I still have it just for um, file extension purposes. But the new Illustrator got released 2025. I'm looking down here, by the way, my app doc. Um, XD doesn't get renewed anymore. It's still an app that just works for prototyping, but the InDesign, Illustrator, Photoshop, all the classes that you're partaking in right now that you're learning are all updated to 2025. Okay, and if we see, what's new, basically, you can see all the different cool things that are available. A distraction removal using the removal tool. Very cool stuff we did last week. So this one is doing people, cables, and stuff. You can just remove it. So this AI stuff's getting a lot easier now, integrated with Photoshop. The other new feature that we have is generative fill. Here's another one. But we covered some of this last time as well with the AI. It's just more enhanced. It's a little better now than before. If you want to do one of these, I mean, I do encourage you to do this. I don't want to, if we have time, we can squeeze it in here. But just if you open it up, it gives you the whole tutorial on how to do this, right? So you can just select remove tool from the toolbar, nest it under the spot healing brush tool. Okay. So if you select the spot healing brush tool from the toolbar, it's right here. This the one here. Oh, sorry, the remove tool. I meant to use this one. Remove tool, that's the one. So it's underneath the tool, not the toolbar. I'm just confusing the two things. So the remove tool, I think we kind of looked at it, but we didn't really use it that much. So basically what you do is you draw an actual, like a mask on what you want to remove. Um, go to find distractions in the options bar and select wires and cables or people. So it's actually being very specific on you doing this there. You can choose different modes. So let me see here if we can do these people here like that. And it's automatically going to remove the areas for us. So just remove those people here. There's some settings as well you can use here. Wires and cables, people. I guess by default, it knew that these things were there, but you can basically click on the option of wires and cables without even highlighting the wires and cables. And it's gonna remove those things. Pretty cool, I guess. Um, More ways to do this photo retouching stuff. So there it is. How about if we do people? I don't know how far will I go? And like I said, these tutorials are quite easy to follow. They're like a minute or two long. And then it'll do it automatically as soon as you highlight those areas there. All right. What's next in the playlist? Generative expand. So a lot of this stuff has to do with like the photo, cloning and removing tools. This just expands areas in an image. I think I'm overwhelming my CPU here with this thing. It's still rendering. There's also generate similar and there's generate background. So these are all AI things you can, I'll give you some time to maybe explore these on your own. Okay. But they're just an extension of what we did last week. They're just more AI integrated features. And like you said, I'm demonstrating one here right now. It's just taking a little longer. So I'm just going to cancel this because it's already doing those people. Okay. All right. So again, to find these tutorials that I'm showing you, so you can do them at home, it's under help and then just go to what's new. And you can do this with InDesign, Illustrator, Illustrator's got some really cool things too. If you look at some AI Illustrator stuff, you can generate vector prompts and stuff. Really cool. Textures, backgrounds, right? They're both cool. Photoshop and Illustrator, even InDesign has some cool stuff. You can like select I guess like a picture box in InDesign, and you can just use, Adobe Air or Max to generate images without even having to have to look for sources. So it's pretty interesting. So what's new, and you can kind of learn all that stuff on your own. All right, back to the book cover. Sorry to get distracted here because I just thought I'd show you that. So this is the new Photoshop 2025. It's You don't have to have it if your computer is not compatible. You can do just fine with 2024. Just some other little, bells and whistles, I like to call them when they release new features and new programs. This is how this is broken down. You can see a lot of the layers that were utilized here. Some of their color correction, some of the use hue and saturation, curves, balance. It's a little too much sometimes. You can honestly minimize this in layers, but this is the back of the book cover. This is the front of the book cover. This is the spine of the book cover. So you do have different layer groups that this was the student designed this in. And these are all just the background layers that made this possible. Okay. All right. More trees and stuff. Oh, there's the Witcher right there. So that's another layer by itself. So you can see here the layer mask implemented. Well done overall. I think the book cover looks nice. It fits the theme nicely. So if you do open up the guides, I'm just going to view, show guides, and you can see how the guides were helping us create this book cover fit within the margins and stuff. So we're going to set this up today to show you how to get started. And we're going to do like a book cover that we kind of have randomly chosen. Oh, this is the expand generative fill option here. So again, go through those tutorials after. I don't want to go back and forth. Let's stick with the book cover here. All right, so that's one example here. You can see I showed you the depth of the layer structure from the students. That was Karina. That was her book cover that she chose. And then there's Dipti here. There's a JPEG and a PSD file. Okay. So another one called Shutter Island. It's a novel. It's a Leonardo DiCaprio's in that one. And you can see how it's, the front, the spine, the back. It's a whole book cover. And you can actually do a mock-up. I used to get students to print this in the classroom, and they would do like an actual paperback mock-up, like a real tangible version. So it looks like a book cover. It's pretty cool. And a good way to have a portfolio a piece, like a tangible portfolio. So it's not too much, it's all digital now. I know we're living in a digital age where everything is digital, but sometimes it's nice to have printed material as well. We'll talk about this later next semester when you guys build your portfolio. But it starts from now, right? Now, the projects that you're going to be doing, some of those nice movie poster designs you design, and some of the book covers that you're making, and some other projects, those are your portfolio pieces, okay? Until you get some real professional work, you can use those for now and show off your skill set in these programs. Here again, you have the layer groups here. You have the text in a separate layer. You have the images in a separate layer, and you have the background in a separate layer. Okay, so it's very nicely done and organized. Some people organize it by like front, spine, back, and some like to organize it this way. I like either or. It's fine. This seems to make sense, right? And this is how the student organized this particular book cover here. All right, maybe I'll show you a few more and then we'll get started. See here. Where's my... Hmm. I think I closed it, I guess. All right, here's another one here. The mock-ups are always nice. Okay. Type on a path. That's something you'll have to do. I think there's a way in Photoshop we can do it now. But Illustrator, if anything fails, you can do it, type on a path in Illustrator and bring it to Photoshop and do the design there. Okay. So there's another way you can present the book cover. You can do the spine, the back, and the front separately as well. All right, here's another one. I wanted to see more Photoshop in this. I mean, I want you to not make it too busy, but try to go with some of the more Photoshop effects if you can to demonstrate your skill set. And here's another one here. Something like this, I guess, if you can pull it off. The Last of Us, a very popular, it's a started with a video game, and now it's like a Netflix series as well. And you can see how even controlling how the type flows to reveal some images in Photoshop you can do as well. All right. And if you want to open up the Photoshop file, you can see all the ways it was segmented as well. So we have the front, the back, the spine, okay, and all the other details that go inside this book cover design. All right. And the guides are very crucial, of course. So I definitely, if we haven't used guides before, we're going to use guides now because it's going to help us break down the book cover dimensions. And then you can print this as one piece. If it's a publisher, you're going to give the whole file to the printer. I might have to review some of the pre-press specifications on how to produce a book cover for print. If you notice, it's the one of the modes is CMYK. And once we give this to the printer, they can wrap that as like a spine on the actual book itself. All right. And that's what we're going to do. Alrighty, let's see here. Here's another one here. This is Rahul. Did another very interesting, nicely done. Another one over here. The Shawshank Redemption. I think this movie is still ranked like the top 3 of all time. If you haven't seen it, it's quite an interesting movie. Um, even Morgan Freeman's in it as well. And then we have another one over here. The gentleman that did this book cover used his own photo. This is himself. That's the student that did it. So that's him and his family, I think. And he made a picture of. He made the movie, The Pursuit of Happiness, the movie and the book, and he. This is his own pictures that he took. So it's kind of cool. And that was Govel. There's another one right here. Of course, hey, we got the Halloween season approaching here soon at the end of the month. So a lot of people get some scary movies in there. So we got the popular It, and those are by Stephen King. If you want to do something with the Halloween theme, you're more than welcome to. It is that time of year. There's a book InDesign file here because ultimately, when you produce an actual book for print, I'm going to show you how to set up the crop marks, the bleed marks, so people know the printer how to produce the actual book cover here. There's even an AI composite and a Photoshop design as well. So once you do the Photoshop bits and parts, what you do is in InDesign and Illustrator is create the bleed marks and the crop marks. Like I think I showed you the same thing with the movie poster. I'll do the same thing with the book cover to make sure I reiterate these important things. Again, here's the breakdown here. You have like the spine, we have the front design, we have the back design, and we have like the backgrounds, whatever the background is. Alrighty, and then we have, just wanted to show you, there's another example here, The Alchemist. I think they both patrol the same book here. All right, A Quiet Place. So again, the back again, we're going to emphasize how to do not necessarily image wrap or text wrap on an image, but in Photoshop, there's ways you can control how the type flows and how you can really do a good job on the back of the book cover as well. It's important there. Here's another one here.
Milorad, can I
Yes.
ask? So because this is just for a project and we might be recreating books from films or things like that, it's fine to go and just grab images of people. Like we don't have to worry about the copyright, is my question.
Yes, you don't have to worry about it because we're not publishing this book cover. It's a
Right.
school project. That's fine. Yeah.
Okay.
But thinking forward, if you're doing this professionally, you would have to definitely acquire your own assets and images. Yes.
Right. Okay.
Okay. Good question. Just like the movie poster, I'm giving you the same flexibility there. You know, as students, you do lots of different, experimental projects and fun stuff. You should be okay with it. Um, as long as you don't publish it professionally, then even then, I mean, you have to get consent from these images and copyrights and make sure you cite everything properly. Here's a nice one here with Narnia. So yeah, sometimes you have no choice but to get some of these pictures that kind of coincide with your theme. And if you can, you know, um, avoid getting images from, let's say, Google and stuff, you can always resort to the Unsplash and the other platforms that I listed earlier, Pixabay, Pexels, and stuff like that, to get some sources from there. Alrighty, I think I showed you enough, right? There we go here. Boy, time flies, eh? Before you know it, I'll be showing your projects to the next group. I mean, it's amazing how fast time goes. Because I've been doing this a little long, and then I try to show fresh. This is all last semester, so I do try to show the more recent projects to the next groups. So yeah, let's enjoy every moment of it. That's what I'm trying to say, and not to depress you. How time goes fast. I know as we get older, it goes even faster, but try to enjoy. You're in school, and try to, you know, uh, take everything in. Enjoy it and have fun designing. I'm sure you all picked this for a reason because you love doing this stuff on these using these applications. So try to have fun while you do it and make the best of it. Right? That's why we're all here. All right, so let's start this book cover exercise file. If you downloaded this folder, that's good. You can just start. I'll start you off right now, right from Photoshop from scratch. What we have here is the very popular, I guess we picked the Da Vinci Code by Dan Brown. It's a very popular book that came out a few decades ago. They even made like a movie out of it, and they made a second part and stuff. So we're going to, I guess, recreate something like this. This is the theme. We're going to create a new version of the Da Vinci Code. If you have another, theme in mind, I used to like ask students spontaneously what they want to do, and they do like Jaws or It or something more horror like Halloween. But then we would spend a lot of time searching images on Google and online and trying to get images, and that'll take up a good chunk of the lesson. So I just say, you know what, let's just go with this for now. This way we have all the images that we need. Very simple images, a couple of splashes of ink or blood, whatever that is. This is the author, Dan Brown. We have a picture of some of the Mona Lisa segments that can go into the book cover. And we have like a texture of a scratchy old photo. So we have a few items that we can use for now and some other images we can get um, ourselves. And we can also use the generative AI settings as well in Photoshop. Okay, so this is what we're going to use for sources, and Photoshop is going to be our obviously design tool. So let's start with a new file from here. We're going to go to print because our intent is to print this book, and we can always switch it to RGB mode afterwards. Right now, we're going to stick with the print settings. 8.5 by 11 is the most common method of printing here in North America. It's called US letter size. So we're going to stick with the letter size. However, make sure it's in inches, so it's 8.5 by 11. However, we're going to make it landscape because the intention is to fit this paperback book cover within the 8.5 by 11 limitations. So it's going to be 11, the width, the height is 8.5. Okay. But if the book is going to be a paperback, if you look at your hand, for example, like it's going to fit in your palm of your hand, like one of these books you pick up at the publishers or at the supermarkets, shoppers, drug marts, Indigo, wherever you happen to go get a book. A lot of the paperbacks are pretty small and very convenient to fit in your bag and your personal items. So the height will be 7 inches instead of 8.5, so it'll be like a smaller version, and the overall finish size will be 5 by 7. Okay. So 5 by 7 will be the actual size of the book. Then I have some books here I'm looking at right now, and they all fit within the 5 by 7 dimension. So to make a 5 by 7 finished size, the width will be 11 by 7 as a mock-up size that we're creating. Okay, so that's why I changed these parameters inside our criteria here. So if you go to your projects here, let's go to months. Let's go to next month, November 14th. So every 2 weeks, you have something to do in my classes. You notice the pattern here. All right, so book cover project, and you go to the project here. The date is November 14th. That's good. So I changed the size to 7 by 11. Okay, so whatever I'm doing here, I'm showing you how to set this whole thing up the way you see it on the handout. So that's why I'm going with 7, 11, 7, 11 right here. The resolution is 300 dpi. Just because sometimes it's hard to get images that fit within this resolution, we can even go with 200. For paperbacks, it's fine. It's gonna print, almost as good as 300. So we're not really, I mean, if we were publishing this for real, then maybe I would say fine. Let's go with 300. But even 200 is good for like school assignments. That's fine, right? That's okay if we go with 200 dpi. Yeah. Second here. What was the other thing I was trying to do? Sorry, guys, I had to take care of something here quickly. All right. So yeah, 711, that's the size that we're gonna go with. 200 DPI is just as good as 300, especially for projects. It's more than enough. The color mode will be CMYK color though. Okay, that's the one we're gonna stick with here. So this is the big difference between CMYK and RGB. RGB is gonna be our obviously on-screen version. So if you're doing like a book cover for Amazon or Kindle or digital edition, then we stick with the RGB. And for print, you have to output in the proper color separation is sand, magenta, yellow, and black. So CMYK color, white background's the default, and we're gonna hit the create button there. So this is basically what you saw from the student examples, and there's the book cover, the layout. All right. So here we're gonna have our, if you go to image size, you can double check the dimensions here. So you might see pixels. You can always substitute it with inches and see the equivalence. So basically 11 by 7 inches is the same as 2200 by 1400 pixels. It's a good little calculator conversion kit. So it was just to verify it. Here we're going to create the rulers right now. In order to set the guides up, we'll have to have the rulers visible. So to have the rulers visible, you're going to go to View, Rulers. Now the shortcut is the same as everywhere else. If you hit Command or Control R on your keyboard, you're going to basically show the rulers like that. Illustrator, InDesign, Photoshop, very similar shortcuts across all three. They're all universal. However, if you notice here, the rulers is based in pixels. It's not based on inches. So what we had to do is we had to go to, Photoshop, preferences, okay, and change the units and rulers from here. Instead of pixels, we have to go to inches. So you can do it this way and it'll change automatically. You can also change other preferences as well that are needed.
Sorry,
Quick,
how did you do that?
So you go under Photoshop settings, units, and rulers.
Ah, okay, thank you.
You're welcome. So the Photoshop settings basically control a lot of these other important things. A lot of them are fine by default. You don't have to really go through settings like cursors and scratch this. Honestly, these guys do a good job with and develop the application. They don't want people to go through settings unless they really, really have to. In our case, just to do a simple switch like the rulers, we might. But I was just going to get to the easier way to do this. If you right click on the ruler, you can change it that way. So you can go to pixels or inches. So it's a lot faster that way. But I wanted you to, in case you might have an older version of Photoshop and you want to change it up, it's a good way to know both. So you can just right click and change the units this way. Okay. So it starts from 0, it goes to 11. So 11 inches in width. The 0 also starts from the very top left corner. That's the 0 origin. As we go down lengthwise, we're going to the 7 inches down this way, 11 inches that way. All right. So that means if we create a spine and we want a 5x7 finish on the book cover, we'll have to basically, see 5 and 5 is 10. We have an extra inch for the 11 mark. So that means the spine will be 1 inch. So if we go 5 plus 1 plus 5, that gives us the 11. So to mark the exact middle, I'm going to go to the far left side of the ruler, right on the ruler. I'm sure you've done this in other programs as well. In Photoshop, we never emphasized it, so now is the time. We're going to click and drag and go right to the halfway mark. The halfway mark is, if you hold shift sometimes, it'll snap to the exact 5.5-inch area like that. So it's 5.5. So that's the exact middle of 11. Half of 11 is 5.5. So that leaves us now the absolute middle. We're going to split it into half and half after that. So if we go a half an inch this way, which is 0.5, there'll be the 6-inch mark. And I'll show you why I'm doing this. Okay. And we can do another one over here. This one's at the 5-inch mark. Okay. When you establish the middle, you can usually go 5 inches, 0.5 here, 0.5 there, because zero point 0.5 and 0.5 is 1. So this is like 5 to 6 is a 1-inch mark. That means you can grab the middle and just delete it after. So we have the exact spine set up. So this is a good way to measure and control your rulers and setups into the program. All right, so that's how we're gonna set up this spine here. Once you set up your I guess spine guides, you can set up the margins as well. Margins is always a safe way to keep things within. I like to keep the margins at maybe 0.25, like a quarter of an inch. That's the standard size for most designs. So we're going to go with 0.25 margin. So if it's 11, it's 10.75 this way. Okay, so even if it's like 0.1, it's fine as long as it's that way there. And of course, here we're going to go 0.25, right? And we're going to go 0.25 this way also. 6.75. Right. Okay. So now we have our, I mean, this is just a rough, even if it's not, if it's off by like a fraction of an inch, you're okay. It's just a design, it's a safe space they want you to work with. As long as you don't go too close to the edge, then you're not going to have any problems with the, when they cut this job on the printer side, you want to make sure it's properly done. Now, to avoid these from getting moved around and stuff, you might have to go to view and you can lock the guides so they don't move on you by accident. You can also clear them, or you can just do other options with guides as well. Okay, we're going to get into this other feature here when we do the website, the new guide layout. It's a good way to kind of align the guides in a more, you know, I guess mathematical equative type of ways. So right now, just leave it like this. Just go to perhaps lock the guides. All right, so we lock the guides. And now we're going to use this as a template for a book cover. If you follow me along so far, it's a perfect way for you to save this, and you can use the very exact same layout for your actual project if you like. So you're going to go to File, Save As. I'm going to call this Book Cover Template. And just because there's different template sizes, we're going to call this one 5 by 7. And that basically um, equates to the finished size, okay? So 5 by 7. We're going to go save it on the computer, onto the desktop as a Photoshop file. Okay, we're going to save it as a Photoshop design file. All right. So next is our design parts. So this will be like our background. We're going to set up different layers and groups for it. I'm just going to give you a good starting mechanism. So once you start, you can do this all on your own. And by seeing so far how good you've done other previous exercises and projects, I'm pretty confident that all of you can figure this out. Most of you anyways, right? So I think all of you. So now we're going to set up like the background design first. Let's see if I can utilize some of my sources that I brought in here. These are the book cover exercise sources that I have. So perhaps I'll try this maybe texture to work with. Before that, I'll give it like a base. It's just having like a white background, maybe a little too boring. So I'm going to go with the gradient tool. I'm going to choose some of these preset gradients here. There's like basics, there's blues, there's purples, there's different types of gradients you can utilize. There's oranges, there's grays, clowns, neutrals, pastels. So let's go with maybe the neutrals. Go with this one here. Very subtle. If you click from one area to the other, it'll just give you that nice blend. I like the new gradient feature in Photoshop because you can just control it this way. Before you couldn't, you have to just do it again and again till you get it perfect. Maybe I'll go perfectly from top to bottom holding shift. If you have to change one of these colors, you simply double click and you can just change it to a darker or lighter shade of color, just like that, right? You can control the midpoint of the gradient, how good it blends in from the two. You can add more by simply clicking. You can add a new color, okay, just by clicking more and more. To delete the color swatch, you simply drag it away. Away means like left or right. Very simple way to use gradients. I think we've used gradients before, mostly for like layer masks, but for actual colors and stuff, it's just as easy. It'll put a gradient layer on you on the actual cover for you. So then maybe even the background is not necessary. You can just delete the background if this is your base background layer. Sometimes you don't want to show off too many layers because it just might be too distracting. Let's place one of those textures in here. We're going to go to File, Place, Embedded. Always stick with Embedded because it just makes it part of the file and you can have less problems locating it afterwards. So we're going to go to Place Embedded. We're going to go all the way to the book cover exercise here. There's our texture. I'm just going to double click. That's a little smaller than an actual book cover, so I'm just going to expand it to the maximum dimensions, like that. If we're considering putting a bleed and other elements in it, I should also consider that and maybe add an extra half an inch on the book cover, but we can do that in a design program, so you don't have to worry about it. Now we have the texture on top of the gradient, so what we're going to do now is just kind of blend it somehow so it's not overly distracting. So we can use some of these layer blend modes to make it work for us. This is how you can really take advantage of the layer blend modes. Okay, so maybe I'll go with a soft light, so it's nice and subtle. So it gives me that texture that I'm looking for, but not overly distracting for the other elements I'm going to be putting in there. All right, so you can do a lot of stuff with this background, as you can see, from textures to different things. just to kind of get you started. This might be a good thing. A gradient and a texture combined together with a blend mode might work well. All right, I'm going to put those in a group. So I'm going to select both of these layers and press Command or Control G. Alternatively, you can also go to right click and you can, new group from layers. That's another way to do it. You can also go to the little pop-up menu up here and you can choose new group from layers, same thing. So we're going to call this BG for a background, right? So this now became my BG background layer. Nicely organized for me to kind of situate it there to put my new groups for my new layers. Before I start my next one, I'm going to create the group first. So just click on the group first. I'm going to call this front. Okay, this will be my front cover design. And this will be the one I'm going to be implementing my front cover design here on the far right side, because this will be the front, this will be the spine, this will be the back. Because when you wrap this up in a North American standard, I know there's other cultures in other parts of the world. Like I know the Japanese anime books, you read them backwards, right? And there's some other formats as well. So the North American standard, we're going to go this way. So the front is on the right side, the spine is in the middle, and the back is on the far left side. Because if you fold that in half as a mock-up, that's how you're going to be, delivering the actual project. All right, very good. So now let's move forward with the front. We're going to implement some typography designs, and no better way to use typography than to go to Illustrator and do something really cool and fancy with the font there. I'm just going to quickly go and do that. I'd like to show you how to utilize as many tools as you can to help you design projects. I know oh, look at the new splash banner for Illustrator. Some of my web production class that I teach, the other class for Humber, their job is to create an Illustrator splash banner. That was their final project. A lot of them are doing a good job, actually. So they have to recreate a new Illustrator splash banner, and that was their final one. They get to learn a little bit of Illustrator and Photoshop with me. They don't, not like you guys. You guys do a whole semester of Photoshop, a whole semester with Illustrator. With that particular class, they do 7 weeks of Illustrator, 7 weeks of Photoshop, because it's a quick little design thing they're learning. So here we're in Illustrator now. We're going to create a new file. We can match the dimensions in the front of the book cover. So we're going to go to print. Look, there's book covers here. There's templates for book covers too. Illustrator is also a good tool for book covers, but you still have to use some photography, and Photoshop seems to be a better choice for photography than Illustrator, because Illustrator is a vector program, as you know already. We're going to go with 7. Oh, sorry, I should, so 5 by 7. So 5 by 7 is the front book cover design. So if I was to, CMYK 300 DPI, if I was to create something for the front book cover and then in Photoshop, it's going to match my Illustrator design here to put in here. Now, I'm not going to do the whole thing. I'm just going to do part of it, but I want to get a good retrospect on what it's going to look like to the actual space that I'm working with. So here I will maybe utilize my typography here. I'm just going to type the caps lock, and we're going to type da. I'm going to hold shift and make it bigger. The rule is when you, just like Photoshop and Illustrator, InDesign is an exception because you have to create text boxes in InDesign no matter what. In Illustrator and Photoshop, they kind of follow suit the same way. Because I typed and I clicked da, right? What you have to do is now you can control it like that. You can scale them as an object. Although it's still typography, it's still object scalable. If I was to draw a text box, then it fills with placeholder text. This is good for like if you put a body of text that you want to do some kind of a design or a layout. It's more like the InDesign approach. The good thing about this is it flows with the text box boundaries, whereas this one, it doesn't. And the main difference was the way I made it. You either click and type to do that one, or if you click and drag, you make the text box. Same rules apply in Photoshop. If you were to click and type your text, right, it's considered a text field. So if I scale it with Command T or Control T, it's still the actual text field that I have. If I was to click and drag a text box, it's going to fill it with placeholder text, which gives me the same maneuverability as it does in the other programs to scale my box and keep the parameters of my type designs. Okay, so a very quick reference on comparing the two, how they work. I'm sure you know this already. I'm just making sure you understand the similar resemblance of the two. So we're going to do Da Vinci Code as the title. What I'm going to do here is perhaps bring this a little closer, pick a different font maybe. Maybe I'll try like one of these. I'll use like a serif font. Maybe that's going to be a little better for this. And to maybe control the tracking, I even use Command Shift, the left square bracket and the right square bracket are my shortcuts to control the space between the two letters. Okay, and this is called tracking. I'm sure you know this from your typography class. I'm at -100 here. This is my tracking amount. So I'm using shortcuts instead of values, right? So if I'm going to go with this here, I'm going to go Option drag this way, and then I'll do Da Vinci, and then notice how I'm separating all these three different things. Okay, sorry, two. I'm going to be the third one after, and the third one's going to be here. I'm just option dragging it. And this font might be something totally different. This is what I'm going to try to make it look a little more. I think I had a font that looks like one of those retro fonts, but I don't know if it's going to work too well, to be honest with you. No, it's not here. It's not that one either. Anyways, I'll just pick one for now. I don't waste too much time. Maybe I'll keep it all similar. I'll use Railway. I'll keep it smaller here. Maybe increase the leading. Make the size less. And you can pick a different font, different style. So I'll switch it up a little bit here. Da Vinci Code. I don't know how it's going to look. We'll try it out. Maybe this should be aligned to the left or to the right. We'll see. Maybe go all the way this way. Right.
Milorad,
Yes.
when you're using your fonts, like I've noticed in my projects that if say I pick whatever I pick, Optima, and then I'm going and creating a new box, it always defaults back to some other font as opposed to the font that I've just used. Is that normal, or is there a way to fix that? That because it's annoying.
What are you using, Illustrator or Photoshop? Which
Um,
application?
InDesign actually.
InDesign. Huh.
Yeah.
So let's say I'm using Railway now. I think there might be a preference thing that you might have to
Okay.
change for it to do that. I'm not really sure right now. Off top of my head, I can't think of a solution. But let's just use the same analogy for Illustrator. If I was to type something else now, well, it's going
Yeah.
to stick with Railway because that's the last font that I used, Railway. So it's going to give me the Railway font, right? So it
Yeah,
all
that
depends
yeah.
on the actual, it should remember it.
Yeah.
I'll check later. That's gonna
Okay.
tickle my curiosity there. I'm gonna definitely give it a shot. Yeah.
Thank you.
All right. No problem. All right. So, anyways, let's just get this type done. Reason why I'm an illustrator, because you might want to do something really cool with the typography. It's hard to do this in Photoshop in terms of layout. I mean, you could. It's just I prefer Illustrator with this just to keep it more I guess, design oriented, because then you can do things like this. Let me just do something that's more appropriate for what I'm trying to demonstrate here. Let's say I want to do like a knockout punch with the letters here. I'm going to send this to the back so you can see what I'm doing, right? So I want to do like an actual a pathfinder effect, which will knock the code right from the actual box that I have there placed. So we're gonna have to stuff like that you can't do in Photoshop that well, but you can do in Illustrator. So this is why you want to do stuff here as well. Okay, so let me just maybe I can even round the corners of this box if I like. Gotta zoom in here to see it better. All right, so if I want to knock this out, I like the square look better. So I'm gonna select these two. First, you have to create outlines. So make sure you save your fonts. Type, create outlines. That always works. When you create outlines, you want to, if these letters are connected like this, it's a good way to kind of marry them together using the Pathfinder tool. Okay, just unite them all together. So it looks like that. And then these ones here, I want to punch a hole through it. So it's like a knockout effect. Okay. And I'm just going to change that back to black as well. Okay. So maybe I want to go with something like this. I know it's not the best probably cover I can think of, but it's something I want to try now and I can always change it afterwards. So I would save this as an Illustrator file. And just as a backup measure, so I'm going to call it the Vinci title. Okay. Title. I'm going to save it as an Illustrator design. And because it's outlines, you can save it as an EPS file. You know what also works is copy and paste. So if you select this whole thing and you copy it, and you go back up to Photoshop and you hit Command V, it's bringing it to Bridge. Adobe Bridge, hence the word bridge. It bridges the applications so you can actually export files and do some quick actions back and forth. It's a pretty cool automated feature that you can utilize across all Adobe programs. I don't know if you're being taught Adobe Bridge, but it's something that you can definitely kind of dive into and learn on how to use it together. It's a good collaboration tool. I can probably cover it one day just to kind of show you the importance of it. So it's called Adobe Bridge. It's a cool program to bridge all the Adobe stuff together. All right, let me just paste this right now on the front of the book cover. I'm going to paste that as a smart object. I can also paste it as a path or a shape layer. It's very important because you don't want to print it, paste it as pixels because then it'll be limited to only pixels. If you do a shape layer, it's going to give me the actual shape layer of what I just made, right? And that can be my cover for that, right? And now the shape layer, I don't know why it gave me red. Oh, but by default, it's red here. I can change it to another color. Oh, never mind. I think it's over here. Because it's a shape layer, you have to literally double click and change the shape layer from the actual screen this way. All right, so we're going to go with like a darker brown. I'll get some effects on it as well, maybe. I clicked OK. All right, so once you click OK, it'll change the actual settings on the color of the shape layer. This is a shape layer. We're going to use more shape layers next time. And this is when you can utilize this as like a design piece on top of your Photoshop work. Yes, you can do the typography here too, but I wanted to show you ways you can import stuff from Illustrator right into Photoshop. And you can do some cool stuff that you can't do here, basically. Like I just thought of using the Pathfinder tool, which is very popular, as you know already, and some other things you can do with fonts as well. Okay, like maybe I can stretch the V all the way down this way and do some other things to make this a little better, right? And to do that, of course, you have to go back to Illustrator. Make sure you select the letter that you look. Oh, this is all connected, so forget that. We're gonna do it now. But you know what I mean, right? You can definitely do some more editing, and then copy and paste it in here and use that as your design title. Okay. Now the author name is Dan Brown, so we're going to definitely involve that in the beginning. I'll use Photoshop for that one. Okay, so we're gonna go And it does remember. Just the point I was asked earlier about the font remembering. It should remember the recent fonts you use on top of the list. If it's not, every application is different, so you have to kind of maybe go to preferences and figure it out. But for the most part, it should be right here. Okay, it should be right here, and it should work. And Photoshop has a very similar typographical setting than comparing to Illustrator. It's a little different though in terms of how it works. So if you go to character, okay, it also has character styles, character. With character comes paragraph. You have both of them there, so you can control your leading, your kerning. You can control your your point size, of course. If you have more like a paragraph, I can show you more. But since this is like a one-liner, I'm just gonna just use it that way as well. Okay, so we're gonna use this as our main cover here. I'll pick the same color. Maybe I'll make it darker actually. Now to center this perfectly, because these are two different. You do have the smart guides. Like it'll give you the smart guides, but you could select both of these layers together like this. You can go up here on the alignment option. You can just center them perfectly. So now Dan Brown is perfectly centered in line with my title here. Okay. And of course, ultimately, you can center them more this way as well. How do I center them perfectly within my margins? How will it know? I know it knows because I'm selecting that. So let me show you a nice Photoshop trick that'll basically make alignment as easy as other programs. So it basically comes down to, remember, selections. If I use the marquee tool and I make a perfect selection of an area, such as this one, which is my front of my book cover within the margins in it, considering I have the selection made and I have the two layers selected, and then I go to the move tool, what Photoshop's going to do now is consider aligning these two within the selection parameters that I made. So if I go like left, if I go right, or if I go middle, it'll do exactly that. Okay, really powerful, really cool thing to know. So I'm going to deselect my selection, and now rest assured I know it's all perfectly selected. And I can just move this a little down and up to go with that. All right, I think the title's a little too big and overpowering, so maybe I'll reduce it later. I'll see how that works out. Let's bring in some of the other design elements. We're going to use this very popular. This was the previous book that had the Mona Lisa. I think there was a secret in some kind of a museum in France or some kind of a chapel that there was the codes that to find. I don't know if you guys saw the movie or read the book. That to uncode a lot of these secrets and stuff, and have to travel different parts of the world, from Rome and France and different parts of Europe, to solve the code, the Da Vinci Code. So they use the Mona Lisa as a main subject for this. So I'm going to go ahead and just do the same thing, just drag it in here. And yes, drag and drop works as well. And just going to have to resize it. I'm going to match my it's going to resize this a little smaller. Definitely taking up a lot more space. All right, so we're going to save these together and we're going to line them up like that. And the Mona Lisa is going to be somewhat there. Um, I think there's a, what's the effect I was going for here? Let me just blend it in there for a second. We're going to blend her in there. Maybe a hard light, or linear light or hard light. We'll go with the hard light for now. And I was gonna show you how to maybe maybe do some kind of a layer mask in there so we can hide some of the image edges from what we have here. Um, They have this torn looking effect. I mean, that one you can achieve by kind of utilizing your own design or a path, and then you can use some filters and airbrushing techniques to get it done. I'm going to do something maybe similar just with the shape design tool. So I'm going to just go ahead and use the pen tool for now. So here's the pen tool. This is how you create paths in Photoshop. Okay, so I know you know how to use the pen tool in Illustrator, but for Photoshop is just as important. I'm just going to make this a little smaller. It's really taking over my stuff there. So what I'm going to do to make this work is let me just expand this a little bit here. All right, I'm going to have to make it bigger just to make a little work there like this. All right, and I'm only going to show part of it. Um, you could draw this freehand. I think it's a more natural if you use your hand, because if you use the pen tool, it might be a little too geometrical. But let's go geometrical for now, and then I'll get into the freeform after. Maybe even the lasso might work. Very simple lasso tool. Let's try it. So I'm just gonna go do like a freehand scribbly effect that I'm doing right now, just by with the mouse. Oops, it's kind of messing that up there. I can always fix my selection after. Not a big deal. We'll get a little bit of our smile in there. And with shift, I'm going to just select it that way. Now, watch this. With shift, I'm going to fix this edge all the way. It's going to go like that. And with shift, I'm also going to grab this also. So just to make sure it's on the edge of my book cover. So it's nicely positioned in that area. So if you want to use this as a torn edge type of piece on top of that image that I want to implement as part of my design, what I'm going to do now is just basically create a layer mask from it. Okay. So once I create a layer mask from the selection, okay, I go over here and I create a layer mask. I just like to use that button there. If you don't want to use the button, you can go through the menu and create a layer mask, reveal all. Oh, I think it's hide all. Sorry. If you're making it from a selection, you have to hide all. Oops. Reveal selection. There we go. My apologies. It's reveal selection because it makes sense. So when you reveal a selection and you go to layer mask, reveal selection, it'll do just exactly, it'll make a mask out of the selection. I just like to use that button. I just do it so often, I hardly use this menu. So if you do it that way, it'll do the reveal selection, or you can just click the little button there. You have a layer mask now applied on that image, and then you can basically, position it where you like to, right? You can just move it up there, move some down here, just work with the design that way, right? Just some of the methods you can implement on your book cover design here, just to give you some ideas. But the main thing is the setup, I know the design part you guys can handle quite well on your own. You'll have enough time to think it through and work through all the details. But this is how you're going to be approaching this whole thing, by starting from perhaps the front and working your way through the back, right? Speaking of the back, or the spine, we're going to create other elements for that. So this is something that maybe I'm going to pause for now and come back and, continue my designs. Just to show you another torn edge effect. If you double click here, you could do, let me just see if I can quickly pull something off here. The inner glow might work. If you do it in a very sharp way, I think you have to kind of hit the choke button there. And then you can control the opacity or the noise. There's a way you can do the whole rip torn effect look from one of the settings. I'm going to leave it up to you to explore that. You can even do bevel and emboss. That'll produce a similar thing as well, but you might have to feather the actual effect. So it looks like it's actually being torn or ripped from the actual cover itself. So it's like showing you what's in it. So keep in mind the layer styles and effects are there to help you for this stuff, for this kind of execution. All right, so if that helps you, that's great. It's gonna line this up perfectly there. Right. The spine should kind of match usually the title or the author. Sometimes we put the publisher and other things that might go in the book cover. I can reutilize this here by simply, option and dragging it that way. So I have like a duplicate of it. And then I'm going to grab this duplicate away from the layer group. So it's on a separate layer. I will actually go ahead and rotate it the other way. So I'm going to go to edit free transform and simply do one of those and maybe make it a little smaller and center it perfectly. How do we center it again perfectly? We make a selection in our space, in this case, our guides that we have set up. And we use the alignment. And this only works if you have the move tool selected with the selection established, with the proper layer selected. And then we can go either left, center, or right. Perfect way to work on your alignments in Photoshop, just like you would do in Illustrator or InDesign. It's a lot more easier that way. There's another cool feature here that you can use. Either you stick with this or that. Don't do both because it'll be misleading for the audience to read the book. So you might want to do the type tool here. There's something called vertical type tool. So yes, that basically types vertically. Now we used the type mask tool before, I think, and I think we did one of the exercises back in week 3. So that's basically converts your type into selection, which you can then extract and copy and paste some nice effects that way. But the horizontal type tool is what I use for typing the author's name. Remember, like Dan Brown, right? If you click and drag the mouse, you create a text box, which we will for the back of the book cover. But if you select the vertical type tool, well, you can make vertical type boxes as well. That's pretty cool. The vertical type tool, which I'll give you a challenge. Try to figure it out in InDesign how to do vertical type. See if you guys can do that and come with me next time I see you. If you click here, what it'll create is a vertical alignment of your text. So here, maybe I'll type Da Vinci Code. Right? And this could be maybe that I'm going to use for the back of the book cover and perhaps use that font as well. I forgot what font that was actually. I don't think I saved it either. You always save the fonts. That's why you remember which ones you did. It's called Stix to text. Stix, S-T-I-X. So if I just want to double click or triple click the fonts and look for my Stix font here, I can use that one, and that can kind of simulate or match my. So you can use either or, vertical or horizontal type of placements. You can put a space in between, of course. Right, so it kind of does separate the two. You can kind of extend one over the other, right? And just change the color up here to make it a little different. Lots of cool things with the back, right? And maybe if you do that, then follow it up with the author as well. Or maybe make it smaller or something, right? So that could be something that you want to use for the back. Okay. Maybe I'll delete the author's name. Here you can put like the publisher logo. As far as making it look authentic, you can do like the QR code, the QR code, the barcode. I mean, there's probably QR codes now for books, but usually it's barcodes when they scan the product, like a UPC code to make the purchase and to track the ordering system. So you might want to implement that somewhere here, and you would do a barcode probably in Illustrator. It's a lot easier. There's my smart guide. See, that's perfectly in the middle here. The smart guide's on. So for the spine, you don't have to do much work except establishing it and making sure there's something there to match its parameters. If you want to do like a color change, you can. I'm just going to simply use a shape tool here. And yes, just to talk about a little bit of the object tools in Photoshop, anywhere down here where the pen tool begins, to the type tool, to the selection tool, to the object tool, these four tools right here, they're your like Illustrator integrated tools in Photoshop. So you can draw all your vector shapes in Photoshop from here. So if I want to create like a vector shape to cover this design area, I will simply go ahead and make my, design here. So now I have like a rectangle object placed in that section. I don't know why the fill is set to 0. I'm just going to pick a color here, right? And this is and the stroke I'll set to none. There's no outline that I need, right? And this will be perhaps behind my book cover. And I can lower the opacity. Maybe I'll match the color to be the same as this. And then I'll, of course, lower the opacity because it's hard to read that part of the book. You could do some kind of an offset if you wish to have this thing a little more noticeable, right? If you want to do a little tint or a little, whatever color differential you can, just remember you can do like a separate object basically. So this is called a rectangle object. To edit it, it's very simple. You simply go, you can use the arrow tools. See the black arrow tool in here? You can just treat it like a normal object like you would in Illustrator. If you want to go a step further, you can use the direct selection tool, which gives you the same power of Illustrator. You can do some cool stuff like that and edit it that way. The next lesson I'm going to have with you is going to be clipping mask exercise using the pen tool and stuff. So we'll do some pen tool stuff with you in Photoshop just to show you how you can use your skill set. By now you probably developed the appetite for the pen tool, I'm sure, in Illustrator, because there's no other way around it. You have to use the pen tool to do some cool stuff. And I advise you to implement the same techniques here in Photoshop as well. Okay, just gonna line this up to the top here. There's another guide I'm gonna use to align my design elements accurately. So you can do a lot of cool things on the spine. For the back, it's a little more technical. If anything, you have to implement usually the picture of the author goes here with some of the text biography that goes with it. So let's go ahead and put the picture of the author first. I'm going to go file, place. Well, first, let me just make sure these are my spine elements. So Command or Control G. I'm going to call this my spine. So these are your spine elements. These are your front elements. Okay, so you can kind of coordinate it that way. The new group I'm going to create is going to be the back. Okay, so the back is going to be composed of all these elements like the author, maybe a little bit, they put a little bit of biography about the author, New York One bestseller, all these catchy phrases that they use for selling books. Some other information. You can look at real books and kind of see what you like or what pertains to the one you're doing. And you can kind of make this look like other one or the other. So let's put some information about the book. Sometimes the back of the book talks about the book as well. All right, so you can actually do that as well. Just see, did I move this by accident? I think I did. There we go. Let's put it back. I should lock some of these layers, like the background layer, for example, this group. I'm going to hit this lock button so it doesn't accidentally move on me here. When I'm done with each group, I'm just going to lock that particular group, like the spine, so I don't accidentally move those layers as well. All right, so the back now it's going to be composed of the author. So we're going to go ahead and go File, Place, Embedded. And we already know the difference between embedded and linked. And here's Dan Brown himself. I'm going to put him right here in the corner. And what if we don't want the whole picture of Dan Brown? Let me hide the guides for a second. Oh, those are the command apostrophe is the actual grid. We're not going to use grids for this. Guides is enough. So we're just going to show the guides. All these shortcuts I'm clicking is right here under view. So show, here's the grid, by the way, command apostrophe. Okay, the guides is over here. Just a quick reminder, right? Right. So let's say we don't want this whole picture of Dan Brown. Let's say we want a unique image of him. So in that case, we're going to have to do like a clipping of some kind, right? So we're going to select the image. We're going to put it in the back of the group because it's going to be part of the back of our book cover design. We can make a very, like, we can even do a custom shape tool. That's kind of cool in Photoshop as well. You can append some of these brushes that are available. Okay, let's see here. Where's this one here? I'm gonna. I think, you know what? You can go in this way. There, on the right side. My apologies. So you got leaf trees, you got wild animals, you got boats. You can even do your own custom path. I just want to do something very simple and quick here, like a silhouette of something if I can. Um, Too repetitive. Anyways, you can pick one of these and utilize that as your clipping, or you can kind of do your own custom shape as well. I'll create my own custom shape. I'll use the rectangle tool just by simply creating a rectangle shape like this. Because I'm going to crop, basically I'm cropping the image, okay? I can even round the corners if I wish. I can keep it straight. I can round one part and not the rest. I can then use the white or the direct selection tool and maybe even offset the shape on purpose if I want to do that. Either way, I'm going to create this clipping here. This was part of your advanced composite exercise you did for me last week. So to clip something, it's very simple. If you remember, you just simply hold, oh, you got to put the picture on top of the image like this. It's opposite of Illustrator, right? Illustrator, you put the object on top and then you make a clipping mask. Here you put the image on top of the object, you hold Option or Alt, and you click between the two to make the clipping occur like that, okay? Just in case you forgot. And then you can, of course, move the image up and down and control its parameters that way. Okay, got to be careful here because it's clipping out the image. And if this is, an image of the author, then you can put some text around it as well to do a text box. Don't forget it's
Sorry, do you know how to do that clipping if you don't have a Mac, if I'm using Windows?
yes for sure. So you press Alt. So
It's
what
not
what?
working. Oh, okay, okay. Okay, I got it. Thank you very much.
Yeah, no problem. Alt click. Let's say it doesn't. Let's say your Alt key is broken. Let's say your computer doesn't do this. What you can do then ultimately is right click and what the heck is it? There we go. Create clipping mask. See that? Release clipping mask. Create clipping mask. I just like to use Option or Alt click. All right, very good. Yeah, so we're gonna just move this one a little down. It's nice to control it too, because once you do that, you can control it. You can always use the direct selection tool, and you can really do some cool things even with the shape. Like you can totally like do whatever you want with this image, right? You can really make it customized. But you have to make sure you click on it this way, and you got to be very selective with your points, and then you can kind of move this up or down like that. All right, just a nice way to have that freedom of design, like just like you would in Illustrator. Okay, so far as the text box now, there's no type on, just like you would in Illustrator. You have the picture here, and you have the text over here, right? Then you have the text or the image in front of the text. Same as InDesign, same as Illustrator. You have these two things together, and you go to is it an object here? Text wrap, make. Okay. When you make a text wrap, right, it'll wrap around the image nicely. And you can see how this works well with, in an object-oriented program. Same as you would use um, in InDesign or Illustrator. Photoshop doesn't have this feature. That's what I'm trying to tell you. So what you want to do in Photoshop for a text wrap is you have to kind of treat it in a similar way. So basically, you design your box basically. So you go around these parameters here. And it's really not a big deal. You can just go, click over here, click over here. I'm gonna go just click over here, roughly here. I'm gonna hold Shift to keep it nice and straight. Right? So I just drew a path. In that path, I can put text. And that's another one. That's like a workaround around this. Unless, you know what, I got to look into it. Maybe they do have a type on a path tool now in Photoshop. I got to look into this. If there is one, please let me know if you know of one. If not, I'm going to stick to my old school routine because it works really well. And then you go with the type tool afterwards, and you click inside, and you can literally do your text in here. But be careful because I just did it kind of once or twice there. And it's clipped. You see how it's clipped? So be careful. I put it in the wrong layer. I'm going to drag it away from everything else. I want this to be separate. I don't want it to be clipped. There we go. Okay, I want this to be an actual object. So please make sure you don't, because I was demonstrating the clipping thing back and forth. Gotta delete this too now. There we go. All right, so we have that created here. And now what we want to do is we want to put the text in this box, right? So we're going to select this box here. We're going to go to the type tool. As soon as we click, and let's set the typography first. We're going to use the 12 point, which is still a little big for the back, but we'll just keep it simple. We're going to use our railway font because keep it consistent here. A regular 12 point. We click inside, and it'll put the actual text in for us. Now it's a lorem ipsum text. We want to get maybe the Dan Brown biography. We go to, you can Google these things. Dan Brown. He's an American author. I'm sure we can get lots of interesting things about danbrown.com. He's got his own website too, actually, right? So there's even a better picture of him. So we can copy this, maybe a few paragraphs here. We can always do that. And we can paste it inside our program. And then we can, of course, um, make it smaller and make it fit within our margins and stuff. And this could be used in our back cover design. I'm just gonna make this invisible. This box was just a temporary measure for us to put this text in that box. You see how Photoshop is very smart to acquaint the two. I can even go ahead and delete it after. That's how flexible this is, right? I can delete it after, and then this will still be treated like an actual text box, right? It makes a path out of it. So it's referencing that object as a placeholder. And once you place the text, it basically fills the area, and you can do some really creative stuff with it. Stuff like I don't think you could even, well, I'm sure InDesign has a cool way too. InDesign is meant for this stuff. But even Illustrator, InDesign, Photoshop can do it too. You just have to know the tricks and the methods of getting it done. So I'm going to go ahead and go back to the type tool here. Maybe hit 9 points just to make it a little bigger, right? Or just spanning down there like that. Just gonna press Command Z. I think I overdid it there for a second. Here you can put your number one bestsellers. You can put some other important factors about the book or the back of the book, the design. Um, you can look at some various publishers here. I don't know which publishers he was dealing with, but book publishers, some of the more popular ones. Okay. And you can pick any one of them if you like. Just use their logo just to make it more authentic. It's up to you. It's a nice way to kind of implement the authenticity. Maybe we got to be careful because we don't. I don't. You guys won't publish this anyway. So you're just doing a student mock-up project. But let's say you are working with the publisher. You should put their name in here and put them as their logo. So a lot of them like to promote their publishing house where they're from. This doesn't really stand out too well, so I'm going to override it by double clicking here, doing a color overlay and going with the black. Okay, just like that. And it's a quick way to grab a PNG file, especially if it's like a publisher, and making it more authentic by doing that. All right. So if it's again the real publisher, whoever the publisher is, will go there. The QR code or the barcode, you can make one in Illustrator. You can grab one online. It's up to you. I mean, it's nice to make your own stuff. So I would do this part in Illustrator very quickly. You just use a rectangle tool like that. And I would use Option Drag. I think there's even a font that can produce this. Step and repeat, right? Then you can go ahead and make some of these a little thinner and thicker and do like a random generation of this UPC code. Quite easy to make in Illustrator. Okay. Maybe you can copy a few of these over like that. Whatever it is, this can become your QPC code. There's more to this, by the way. You might have to maybe, unify them, like unite them like that. Maybe create another object over here. And with this one, I'm going to probably clip the front. Oh, how do you clip multiple objects? There's a quiz for you guys in Illustrator. So to clip this from that, what you have to do is convert those objects into a compound path. A lot of people don't know this, by the way. I'm just teaching you some advanced secrets here. Once that's a compound path, then you can actually go ahead and clip multiple objects. Okay, just a quick little side note for you guys. Then you can put your whatever number code you have here, like 007985643-02, right? This can be your code. I just totally made it up, of course. I'm going to make it a little bigger just by making it like that. And this could be your UPC code for the book cover. And of course, this can be copied and pasted onto your Photoshop design. Okay, so I'm going to hit the back of the book cover here, and I'll paste it as a shape layer. Actually, I'll do a smart object. This way it'll be, scalable the same way. Okay, place that in there. This usually takes up a nice chunk on the book cover as well. What did I just press now? Right, I think I accidentally did some kind of a shortcut for libraries or something. This is how you're going to set up your entire book cover. And of course, you put some other fillers in here, like number one, New York bestseller or something like that. You have lots of cool things you can say. For that, let's just create some kind of an accent quickly. So you can create this like an actual shape design. You can match the color of something that's around there, so it's similar. Perhaps you can even reuse the spine here and use it for that also. I believe I did the same color as this one, and I just dropped it to 25%. Whatever it is, you can control it here under the opacity. Maybe I'll do 50% just to get some contrast in here. And here you can put like the number one, um, number one New York Times bestseller. You can read some interesting reviews here, and you can you know get some ideas basically online. Okay, how that works. Just gonna copy something here. Barnes and Noble. So here's some famous quotes for this. So I'm gonna copy this um, good overview of the book, or number one New York bestseller as well. Maybe this one I can take as an example. You obviously going to create your own. Be careful because I don't want to put this in the box. I want it to be separate. I mean, it could technically do the same thing I did earlier. Click here and have a separate box as well. Make this a little bigger. Maybe do I don't stylize this a little better. Semi bold italic. Maybe I'll put this in the box here. I don't have the feature in InDesign where you can actually go ahead and insert this perfectly in the center. Okay, so that's kind of a nice feature if you can implement. Whereas this one is a little more you have to design it yourself. You can align it also that way. So these accent boxes and other things you can add definitely improve the overall delivery of the book cover. From front to back to the spine, you can see how just by following these steps here, you can create your own book cover. And perhaps I can add more detail. I'm giving you uh, a month. You have a month to do this. Come on, I did it, and well, if you had a month, I'm sure I'll do a better job too, right? I know you guys will do well with this. Take your time, think it through, have some fun. And yeah, you have plenty of time to do this. Maybe, read a book over the reading week next week and pick something, indulge yourself in a nice book, and then come with a nice idea. It's better when you read the book, you really, get the essence out of it and you really get into it as well. So maybe you can take that challenge. All right, I'm gonna save this now. So how do you save this? We're gonna go ahead and I should put these elements also in the back of the book cover here. So everything's back, spine, front, and we have the background. All right, so there's our main elements. I'm going to lock this one as well. We're going to save this as a Photoshop file. Let's see how big this is because you're going to be handing this in. You probably have more layers than I do and some more design elements. It's no longer a template. It's an actual Da Vinci code. And I'll save it as a Photoshop file. And it shouldn't be more than 50 megabytes, just by estimating my size over here. And when I see you next time, we'll go over some of the pre-press considerations and how to set up the actual design for printing. Okay, and then we'll get into some of the other important things too. Just gonna save this and get it out of the way. So here's the finished results of what we did by utilizing all these different elements and images. I didn't use these yet. The splat. These are PNG files. I could have put them somewhere and scatter them, but I don't really bother. And basically, it's up to you how much stuff you want to put in there. What size? This is 36 megabytes. It's really small. Even if you were to double the amount of layers that I have in effects, I'm sure you're gonna hit 100 megabytes or less. So it should be easy for you to save and hand in with Blackboard. Okay, and this is the template. I'm gonna squeeze that one in there as well. Put this one in here. So I do have some of the supporting elements that go in there. All right, but all in all, you can produce this, and then I'll do another PDF version because you just can't submit this to the printer this way. When you do an actual, print setup, you'll have to put the crop marks, the bleed marks, and all that stuff, which I'll cover again. I know I did it quickly with the movie poster, so I'm going to show you that in case you want to include that in your delivery. I should make it a criteria. So we'll talk about this next time. Right now, worry about the design, and we'll talk about the execution and the pre-press stuff after. Because I do want to emphasize that it's important you understand how the print industry works. Because what good is your design if it doesn't, execute properly on the print end? So I want to make sure you can deliver on all fronts, not just your pretty nice design, but how well it'll print as well. But making sure everything is optimized properly, images, CMYK mode, crop marks, print marks, proper PDF export, that kind of stuff. All right, so that wraps up the lesson this morning. I hope you had fun. I'm going to stop the recording now, and I wish you all a safe and a good reading week ahead. Again, what good way than to send you off with a book cover project for your reading week? At least read a book or think about it. And then we will continue back when I see you here, week number 9. Remember, it's the 717 system. We have 7 weeks of school. We take a week off, and we come back for another 7 weeks of fun. So thanks again for being good attendance, good students. Keep up the good work. And I'll see you guys when you come back from your break. Bye for now and have fun.
Thank you.
Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much.
Bye.
Bye
Thank you.
bye.
Thanks, guys. Take care. Have fun. Enjoy your break week. Okay, that was the recording.